face a sobering fact, that the demand would soon outstrip the supply. Your response was direct and positive. In 1959, you voted 5-1 to create the Upper San Gabriel Valley Municipal Water District. Your board of directors was given a single broad sweeping charge to provide an adequate water supply for the present and for the future. This is J. Ursel Clemenson, president of your board of directors.
Things were different because we were still at the edge of that time where it appeared that water was plentiful.
There was no doubt that when they were talking about water policy here at the Upper District, they were always looking 20, 30, 40 years in advance.
The water supply industry has gone in the last 50 years from being a small group of water companies and cities to now overlapping agencies dealing with water quality issues and whole subjects that had never existed before.
Look at the development of water here in the San Gabriel Valley. Water was siloed. They were like islands. Every water company took pride in the fact that they didn't need anybody else. They had their water wells and that they could supply their customers with water and they didn't need anybody else.
People didn't really view water as a community asset or something we needed to take care of as a community. But every time we've had a drought, that attitude has started to change.
Throughout California's history, there's always been some kind of rivalry between the North and the South as far as water. Most of our water gets delivered in the North, but the need is vitally important here in the South. In Southern California, we have 23 million residents that need that source of water. So here in the San Gabriel Valley, only 25% of that water is imported from Sacramento.
I am the first woman ever elected to the Upper San Gabriel Valley Municipal Water District. This has been a board that's been established since 1959, so I'm very fortunate to be a part of this board, and I'm happy to be here.
There's a lot of complexity that goes into water management, water policy. From my perspective, on a daily basis, we are reviewing legislation that's going through Sacramento, Washington, D.C. We compile a list of bills for our directors to review and provide their positions for, because that's the policy that's going to shape the future of water.
We needed to get a message out. We needed to get a message out to the people that the people that voted on water, that vote on water issues, and the people that as elected officials have a great influence in Sacramento and Washington, D.C. The message was water is for everyone here in California. It's not a north and south issue. It's not something that we should be fighting over.
So the Upper District does have its challenges, but we're moving forward. We need to make sure our voices are heard in Sacramento to protect the Delta and to provide that imported water that we need, but also in Washington, D.C. with the Colorado River. There's all partners, not only that we need to work with, but also other states. So I think the Upper District has taken the lead on those issues.
Even when there haven't been times of drought, this agency has consistently pushed water-efficient methods and programs.
Here at the Upper District, we serve over 1 million residents, and there's a critical need to make sure that we have a reliable, safe drinking water for all those people.
It's definitely politics that protect the basin.
Well, if you look at the San Gabriel Valley, the Upper District, because it represents the largest portion of the San Gabriel Valley, has always been a major voice in the policies of the San Gabriel Valley. And so consequently, the people of the valley look to the Upper District as the expert or the person they turn to.
Here in the San Gabriel Valley, we have a large, diverse population, and that population needs a voice. Here at the Upper District, we are that voice.
they recognized that their growth and the demands on the local water supply would soon exceed that local supply. And so they recognized then that they had to come up with a plan. And so 60, 70 years ago, the people in San Gabriel Valley is saying, we can't do this all by ourselves. We can't build a pipeline to the Colorado River Aqueduct. And that was the primary impetus to the formation of Upper District.
Well, in order to talk about where this basin would be without the Upper District, you have to go back in time and understand what was going on in this basin back in late 1950s, mid-1950s, all the way into 1960. It didn't take a rocket scientist to realize that we're going to run out of water unless we had an imported water source. That was the insurance that this basin needed in order to be able to tell people this is a place to live.
Without the Upper District, the San Gabriel Valley would not have the water management it has today.
My responsibilities are to make sure that we have the quantity of water that's necessary to fulfill our obligations to 1 million households, and provide water, supplemental water, because we receive about 60% of our water from the State Water Project. Upper District receives about 25%. They must supply supplemental water because of our huge groundwater basin. And then we have to make sure that our water is without chemicals. And that's why we formed the Water Quality Authority under our jurisdiction.
The San Gabriel Valley Water Quality Authority was created in the early 1990s. Its formation started, though, in the late 1980s. Upper District was very involved in the creation of the Water Quality Authority. When it was first formed, it was a joint powers authority formed with Upper San Gabriel Valley Municipal Water District, San Gabriel Valley Municipal Water District, and Three Valleys Municipal Water District. And so they formed an agreement that says, we're going to work on a solution. How do we clean up this contamination that has impacted our groundwater basin? And a few years after that, they realized in order to have the authorities and powers they needed to do that they needed an act of the California legislature. So the California legislature voted and created the Water Quality Authority.
At the beginning of the Water Quality Authority, I would say from 1993 all the way through about 1996, the majority of that time was spent convincing the rest of the water industry that this agency was something that they needed to have in place for the benefit of water policy here in the San Gabriel Valley. People throughout the state look at it as a model for groundwater cleanup. UPA proudly says that the San Gabriel Valley is the most successful groundwater cleanup program in the country.
So my training in biochemistry and molecular biology and my cytogenetics career really helped me to focus on the issues in a scientific way and really delve into them, into the nitty-gritty, the details of the water. The most important issues to me are maintaining a healthy basin and a healthy water system. We get our water from the basin. It's a big gravel pit, basically, which holds all of our water. And if we can't maintain a healthy level of that water, then you're going to turn on your faucet and guess what? It's not going to show up. One of the things that you really have to pay attention to is how high our water basin is, the level of the water. We measure that through the key well. That's measured by engineers who monitor how high it is. And that's why we import the water and we bring it down through the spreading grounds. And that's why you see all that water when you're driving down the 605. All that water goes to all the homes after it's treated. This water is monitored and by the Water Quality Authority. It is some of the cleanest water in the world. It is the envy of certain areas of the world. And it's very important that we maintain that healthy level.
WATERMASTER is an entity that has jurisdiction over the basin. It is an arm of the courts. It was founded through adjudication. And basically their jurisdiction is to make sure things are working right. They tell us how much water's in the basin and what the key well is.
The main mission is to provide the water for our customers. It is our purveyors that treat the water and serve it to the customer. We don't have residents that we provide water to, but we do have water agencies and or cities that we provide the water. And then from there on, they take it on further and treat it to provide it to the households or business or industrial.
I believe that one of the proactive measures that the board did was last year when they invested $4 million out of our resources to bring in additional water to replenish the groundwater basin. So I think these are the types of measures that the district is known for.
All your water purveyors are more concerned about having reliable water, and they're willing to cooperate with us and want us to continue to purchase the water.
The more you get involved in this, the more you realize how much effort it takes to bring that water to our basin.
Where does wastewater come from? It comes from when you flush the toilet or take a shower or do the dishes in your sink. It flows down to a wastewater treatment plant. It's treated with great technology, essentially the same technology that nature uses in a stream, with bacteria and aeration and sand filtration to purify water. They accelerate that process in a wastewater treatment plant. And what comes out the end is a very good quality water. While we don't want to drink it without additional treatment, we certainly can irrigate a golf course or a school or a park or an industry, use it for cooling water at an industry. So it's a local resource.
For instance, our big project was with Rose Hills. We were the first, this is the first cemetery that uses reclaimed water from San Jose Creek. And we set the example. And then we went to football fields at high schools, and we have now, most of the district is using recycled water.
So we have several recycled water projects which are going on. And as we move forward and we advance our technology, we are starting to, hopefully, we will get a fully sustainable basin. The more you get involved in this, the more you realize how much effort it takes to bring that water to our basin.
We have learned as we've gone along that those supplies of water are finite. They're not infinite.
Make sure that what we have here is maintained and that the adjudication of the San Gabriel Valley is protected. It's done well by this valley, and it needs to be protected.
It's a huge challenge. There has never been enough water in this area, so we've always had to import it. And you need to always be on top of it. You always need to be paying attention in order to bring that water down.
So it has almost triple in cost to import the water.
California has suffered some of the longest droughts in history, and we need to have a ready, clean, reliable water source for the residents that we serve.
That water is a diminishing resource, and if we don't take care of it, we won't have it.
So the Upper District didn't become a leader just by chance with all these innovations. We have worked with our leaders in Sacramento to educate them of our needs and California's needs. But even within our communities, we have outreach to our elected officials on the city councils, school boards. We have been giving presentations to our local residents and community leaders, as well as participating in a lot of programs that way just to get the awareness out there, and the community has responded very well.
I think you have to, one of the biggest challenges of any water district is to continue to put the message out and change people's mind about water.
Yeah, the Upper District, as one of its main missions during the early 1990s, was to make conservation a way of life here in the San Gabriel Valley. Conservation was something we needed in this valley, and the Upper District saw that probably before anybody else.
When I first started, conservation was a new concept for most water agencies. It was in the very, very early 90s when most agencies suddenly decided that it was time to have conservation happen as a legitimate field. They didn't know what the goals were. They just knew they were supposed to be doing something of conservation that tended towards water conservation, whatever that meant, and that we needed to create something. A lot of the agencies really weren't sure what exactly should be done. Was it just outreach and public awareness, or was it actual programs that created a tangible water savings? It was very new.
We were able to change the way they saw water. It wasn't just turn on the tap and there it is. They were able to see how it travels, how tenuous our infrastructure was, and especially in the Delta.
And one of our other delightful challenges was conservation. Delightful in the sense, being an educator, I always want something for children, and I have a lot of programs we put together for children and how to make them conserve water. And to be honest with you, our conservation has been a great success. At Met and at Upper District, we've done outstandingly well in conservation.
I think you can look back at our history in terms of the programs that they've implemented. One of the most notable ones and our long-standing conservation program is our watershed restoration project. We continue to kind of lead the way and create new programs that are innovative. One that I'm most proud of is the San Gabriel Valley Water Smart City Challenge, where we asked our cities to be our partner in communicating the drought and the water conservation message to all of our residents. We're really the leaders in putting the message out.
We have done good things. Now we want to do great things. We want to be able to say that we don't have to rely on imported water. We can create our own water through recycle and through groundwater.
Those tough drought seasons that California has always experienced. So we're doing a great job in managing that water, not only in good times, but also in bad times.
So as we look back on the system and the structure and the governance that our founders established 60 years ago that served us extremely well for 60 years. As we look to the future, the questions that we have to ask ourselves, is it going to serve us well for the next 60 years? And so we need to start thinking, how do we use those assets that were created by our founders in a different way, recognizing that our patterns of water supply are going to be different.
So the Upper District has to continue to be vigilant as it moves forward in being able to look out 10, 12, 20 years to make sure that what we're doing makes sense. Financially, it needs to make sense, and environmentally it needs to make sense. And that's where the Upper District is going to have its greatest role as it moves forward.
California still continues to grow in population. Businesses continue to grow. California is now the 5th largest economy in the world. So we need jobs in California. We need those people to have a sustained source of water that will provide not only drinking water, but for manufacturing as well. So this management that we're doing now is for the future as well, for future generations.
I would say that the efforts of this district and the stakeholders that we work with, the Water Quality Authority, the main San Gabriel Basin WATERMASTER, the other municipal water districts that surround us, and the County of Los Angeles, the work's been done here in the San Gabriel Valley is really historic.
I think the future of Upper District remains that we'll continue to be a strong leader, not only in water policy and the legislation, but also in terms of how we communicate to our residents.
I'm extremely proud to work for the Upper District and the difference we're making. It's been quite a ride. And even after I retire, I look forward to seeing what this district does.
So having served on the Upper District for the last 11 years has been rewarding, but as a personal goal for me is to make sure that my children and their children have a safe, reliable water source. And so it's good to know that the community is learning from the programs that we have provided, and that we will continue to do those in the future.
And we have some exciting projects coming up with recycled water. That's going to hopefully one day, the ultimate goal is to be completely self-sustainable in the San Gabriel Valley.
I say this, we're small but mighty.
If we're successful with our vision, 25 years from now, people will say, boy, those Upper District board members that were in office 25 years ago really had a vision and set us up. That system that they established has served us very, very well over the last 25 years.